Hello everyone. I'm Dr. Veena Agarwal, Trustee Heartcare Foundation of India and MD MedTalks. You're watching Dr. KK's MedTalks non-stop 414th episode. Let's have the headlines of the day. India recorded 41,965 fresh COVID cases in the last 24 hours, a 35.6% higher than yesterday rate, according to the government data this morning. The country also reported 460 COVID deaths today, as against yesterday's 350 casualties. A little more than 25% of the healthcare workers were infected with COVID 19 despite getting fully vaccinated, revealed a recent study conducted in Delhi. The study gives an insight on the breakthrough infections due to the Delta variant. And India takes a huge leap in its fight against COVID 19 as it administers over 1 crore vaccine doses in the last 24 hours. This takes the cumulative figure of vaccine doses administered to a whopping 65.41 crores. And the World Health Organization has said it is monitoring a new coronavirus variant known as Mu, which was first identified in Colombia in January. The variant has been classified as a variant of interest. Delhi students are back in schools after 17 months amongst strict COVID rules. This is what our topic for today is also. Let's go to the topic of the day. After the Delhi government announced the reopening of schools in a phased manner, medical experts have highlighted the need to treat children as unvaccinated individuals once they start attending schools. Dr. Navneet Vig Ames has said that though children are fed up of staying at home, it is important to look at the risks of attending school as well. Delhi Deputy Chief Minister Manish Sisodia said that social distancing should be strictly followed and no student should be forced to come to the school. Consent of parents will be essential for students to come. If parents do not permit, then students will not be forced to come and they will be considered not be considered absent either and will be allowed online classes. To discuss more on this important topic, which has far-reaching consequences, let's chat today with Dr. Ajay Gambhir. Dr. Gambhir's camera. Dr. Ajay Gambhir is a neonatologist and clinical epidemiologist with innovation, advocacy, and strong commitment to quality, equity, and accountability. He is the secretary of the Delhi Medical Association and is involved in system strengthening, team building, and implementing research. He has been a part of several advisory and regulatory boards, including the Delhi Medical Council, Quality Council of India, National Technical Board of Nutrition, Niti Aayog, National Technical Advisor Committee of Immunization of the Government of India, and many more. He is also the past president of Indian Academy of Pediatrics, Delhi. Welcome, Dr. Ajay, to our show today. Ritu, is there a problem? Welcome, Dr. Ajay.
Thank you, Dr. Veena. And you have taken a very important talking and nice for the latest upgrade and it shows some rise in country like more than 25%, and we have to be careful as far as our kids are concerned.
Yeah. So let me ask you a few questions before we go into the discussion of children going to school. Let us first understand how the pandemic has affected the children physically and mentally.
Yeah, that's an important thing, and we were involved in quality care, the quantity care, and we were talking about quantity. And it is the first time we are seeing pandemic in our lifetime. Last was in 1918, and we were more bothered about the adults. But it has definitely left a scar, and there have been a lot of issues the children have been facing. So generally, I will say mentally, psychologically, physically, um, and now the educationally, and they feel that they have been left out, and suddenly there have been change. So small children where the parents have been able to give time, work from home, were happy, but The issues are saying they are on their laptop, they are on their digital screens for more than 4 to 5 hours, which is creating a different type of a problem with the parents, and back pains, obesity, some type of other issues. And but the educationally, the older children which are on the eighth class and up, especially trying for their board examination or 10th and 12th, and they need a lot of support, peer interactions, mental support, and wants to prepare for the competition. And they feel that they have left the, though they have been passed in some classes, but they feel they are not competitive and they are not happy sitting at home. So when we talk about the children and we talk about the WHO definition of 0 to 18 years, so we are seeing the wide variety of the problems in the children. And now what I am seeing in my pediatric OPD is the increased cases of COVID, which are coming in the form of MAS. Daily 2 to 3 cases are there. The people are coming with a fever, they are coming with a dysentery, they are coming with a pneumonia, and they have a COVID antibodies present. So that brings us to the question that, which will I'll not answer it now. Maybe that should we give vaccination to the children? It is the vaccination is good for not, and that's why we are bothered about the opening of the schools.
So that's, yeah, that's what we are discussing, the $1 million question. The schools have opened, but should children be allowed to go to school now?
I will like to answer is in a two ways. One is the evidence and what child wants, what parents want, and what we should do in the changing environment. While some of the child, the parents have become lethargic, they are getting up maybe at the 9 o'clock, 10 o'clock, maybe later, and they go to bed quite late because and they are it's becoming difficult for the parents to get them tuned to the going to school ideas and the discipline which we had in the school. And what we learn in the school is a companionship, sportsmanship, competitionship, and championship. And the competition brings best out of us, which they were lacking. So most of the children wants to go to the school, but parents are finding it difficult to get to tune to those acclimatize to the new situation. So parents want the safety. So there is a lot of anxiety in the parents. Is it my child will be safe? Will they get COVID? Will they get not? We don't have the final answer. And definitely we have to do it. The third part, I think it is the right time the government and we and the children will say that there could be some type of similar epidemic or endemic or maybe situation tomorrow become endemic or a disaster which will keep on coming. So they have got to get tuned of it. They can't sit at home for long. So I think administratively what government has done is the right step, because we have to also prepare our children for the future disasters. And it is a right step. Now the question is, should you send all the children, few classes? Now that is a question we can, depending upon my availability and my accessibility and my confidence level.
So, what are the SOPs that the schools and educational institutions should follow to protect the students? So, that is our primary concern. That is the parents' primary concern, that हमारा बच्चा सेफ है कि नहीं, वो कहीं अपने आप के लिए और अपने घर में बाकी को इन्फेक्ट करने के लिए वायरस तो नहीं ले आएगा. तो वो क्या मेजर्स हैं जो कि स्कूल्स को फॉलो करने चाहिए और बाकी एजुकेशनल इंस्टीट्यूशंस को फॉलो करने चाहिए टू मेक इट सेफ फॉर देम टू बी अटेंडिंग द institution?
I've come to know, though I have not gone into the detail, the final issues. The government of Delhi and other governments have given the guidelines, but the principle remains the same. And we have to have inputs, the experiences of the other states and other countries who have opened the school. So the main is the preparing the school for receiving the child. So once I prepare mentally the child, so we have to work together. So teachers do not want, and the management does not want any blame on them. Making all the guidelines which the government has given does not mean the child will not get A, B, or C, will not get COVID or will not get influenza. But definitely, we have to detect them early and we have to quarantine them or maybe isolate them. So, number one part will remain cleaning of the space. So, when I look at the structure, what is the structure? If I'm going to a kids schools or I'm going to a primary school, so my structure should be safe. So first I have to take care of the structure, sanitizing the structure, making availability of the sanitizer, making a distance, putting the desk in the right place, keeping the distance, making a alternative
I think there is a net issue, Ritu.
From Sar's side. No?
Dr. Gambhir, you're frozen. I think your internet signal is creating a problem. Dr. Gambhir, you're not audible. Ritu, is he joining back?
Yes, ma'am, he's joining.
No.
I'm coordinating. 1 second.
So I was talking to my niece who is in the US, and how her children have started going back to school, and she said that they have given the option of for the students to either study at home or to go to school. Yes, Dr. Gambhir. Dr. Gambhir.
So
Dr.
sorry,
Gambhir,
I
is it
got
back?
disconnected in between, I think maybe. So,
So I was telling
so
the
one is the
viewers, I was
keeping care
telling
of
the
the
viewers.
structure. So in the structure, yes,
Go
Dr.
ahead, go
Veena,
ahead. No, no, go ahead, go ahead.
what are you saying?
No, no, you go ahead, please. I'll make my point later.
So I was talking about the structure. So the structure doesn't have to be okay. So the structure has to be careful monitored. So spacing of the window, uh, putting a sanitizer, putting a hand wash. The mask point, the use of the temperature. So temperature has to be, humidity should not be there, and temperature has to be controlled in the room. So when we ask about the temperature and humidity, so the issue comes about the use of the air conditions. So air condition use, normally if air condition can be used in a dry mode to keep the humidity in check. But if I use the vents and definitely if I use a small room, then um, it can also will help the spread of the virus if someone has it. So I have to use it very, very judicially and carefully. Should I use it or should I not use it? If I got a filters and if it is an isolated standalone window air conditioners is okay, but it is a central air condition, then definitely there sometimes is a problem of the spreading of the virus. But if I'm only using for humidity control, uh, and if I can regulate that it doesn't spread into other room, I can use that. See, the third part is this is the children. Now in the children, I will have to use because the first sign of inflammation, the cardinal sign is the temperature. Or sometimes children do not have temperature, they only have URI, some cough or sneezing part of it. So every child, there has to be a system of checking, but it could be a rapid test, it could be antigen test, or it could be test every week, which can be done according to the accessibility, availability, and affordability in a school. So whatever the government guidelines are given, they are minimum. So we can definitely go above that. It doesn't mean that whatever government says that is a minimum implementation guideline. I can do a better checkup for that. The staff member and the teacher, where the children are coming, and most of the time they are coming into the school buses, or the parents are leaving them at the school. So I must know the history if someone is not healthy at home, and if they are coming in the school bus, so definitely this protocol has to be followed in the school bus. Teachers have to be healthy. So teacher, it is seen that lot of teachers have it, and sometimes it is spread to the school. So the teachers have to be checked. That protocol be, if they are doing rapid test, then it can be done in Olympics. It's not done in every alternate day, but it can be done maybe after 3 days or after 1 week. If I have to do RT-PCR, uh, the vaccination of the adults, because we are not doing in the children less than 18 years. So vaccination of the adults, teacher, and youth should be promoted. Now the issues are coming. Does vaccination prevent? No, vaccination will prevent my self own. And if more than 80-90% have taken, it will definitely have some hard effect in the community. But vaccination also does not mean that the teacher are 100% immune. So if any teacher has a symptom of fever or cough and cold, then they should be tested, even vaccinated. So vaccination should be made mandatory for the teacher, because it stops the spread. And even in vaccinated, if you have a fever or if you have a cough and cold, they should be tested. So vaccination teachers have also to be checked to maybe to do that. The other recommendation are, should we put everyone should go for the lunch, or they should be staggered, or they should be done in a different way. The issue, basically principle is, it depends on the space you have, and you do not want children to be staying in a crowded place. So once I go, I will talk, I'll meet, maybe I hug, maybe I shake hand. So these are the things, hugging and shake handing should be avoided. Children had to be taught, but I cannot stop, and I should not stop, because they have come to school, and once they come to school, so it is the human touch, it is the human talking, it is the social behavior which becomes very, very important. So one of the, we will only talk about the physical guideline, the appropriate behavior. Maybe some elder student can do masking. The younger child, it is sometimes difficult to mask it, and putting it, they feel very, very congested. But most of the children I have seen staying at home, 2 year and above, are very, very now acclimatized to putting the mask. So
Yes.
if we can put a mask, so we'll give a good example to country like America, where the debate is still going on. Should the school children, the masking should be stopped? I think masking should be done. Even I may not have a very tight masking, but maybe a cotton mask or a small mask, disposable mask, should be given by the school authorities, and it should be disposed while the parents are going on. So these are the some guidelines. Very strict guidelines have been given by the government of Delhi and government of India, and definitely we have to see how much we can implement that. The
Yeah. So
part
that's always,
remains the money.
yeah, that's
Yeah.
always the important factor. The implementation guidelines are always made, but implementation always goes lax. And then we become chalta hai kind of attitude. Just kar lenge, kuch nahi hota, hoga nahi hoga. But recently there was a California make school make teacher just took off a mask to talk and teach the children, and she infected many students of her class, and then they subsequently infected the parents at home. So yes, the we really need to be very careful. And the fourth national Sero survey conducted in June and July 21 suggested that more than half the children of age 6 to 18 years have antibodies, and as many as 57.2 children percent children of age 6 to 9 years also have 61.6%. They are all have seropositivity. So can we presume then that at least half the kids in the country are protected, and they will only get a mild disease? And do these children need to be vaccinated then?
There's a point we started to discuss, and that's a good question because the debate in the world is should child be vaccinated. Now, though the licenses have been given for different companies, especially biotech and the Pfizer, that between 12 years and 18 years, this vaccine can be used. And now in India, after the trial, we are to start with the EUA. You are right. So what we are seeing, the antibodies are present in the children, and zero surveillance has shown that more than 50% of children are audible. That shows the children might have a very mild infection, maybe what we call in Hindi and Punjabi mali moti bukhar. So parents do not go for testing. So one thing we have to start is the testing and testing if they are coming to school. Number two, most of the children, I say more than 50% are already protected and they had a very mild disease. And even the people who are coming with the MIS, because suppose I told you we are getting children every 2 or 3 children every day with dysentery or some type of mild pneumonia, they also do not need much of steroids. So just we put it and we see their CRP being positive, antibody being positive, mild raise in the D dimer. They do respond on the conventional paracetamol and wait and watch therapy, and sometimes there is a mild increase. Hardly any, less than 0.1% children has got myocarditis where you are CPKMB or maybe echo showing that it is an early stage. So you are right, you need not bother about. But again, we have seen the breakthrough infections after the vaccination in the adult. We have seen reinfection. Breakthrough infection, we normally use it after the vaccines. Reinfection, we should after that. We still know that because the data from India was not available, and most of the data we are getting from the USA, UK, and the Israel, and we are trying to extrapolate in India. And we are asking the Planning Commission, ETO, and the Government of India to share the data of the child. So we need a child-specific data. So now I come to the data. Once the school are opening, every school should have its data. The government of Delhi, if it is at least opening the school or whatever government of Maharashtra, they should release a weekly data that कितने बच्चे आए, कितने बच्चों को इन्फेक्शन हुआ, कितनों को ब्रेक हुआ और कितने उनके टीचर्स को हुआ. Because teachers are coming, some people are coming in metro, some people are coming in buses. They do not have a private vehicle, so we cannot blame them. Only thing is, as soon as we found someone has a COVID, so we have to stop the chain of spread, and we request for quarantine and maybe isolation if they have been found to be positive. तो टीचर्स का तो मेरे को टेस्ट वीक में 2 बार मिनिमम करना चाहिए, दैट इज अवर रिकमेंडेशन. और बच्चों का टेस्ट एक हफ्ते में एक बार होना चाहिए टू नो दैट. और जिन बच्चों का एंटीबॉडीज प्रेजेंट है उनको हमें थोड़ा सा ऑब्जर्व करना चाहिए. अब बात आपकी आई वैक्सीनेशन देना नहीं देना. Now this is a golden question which most of the scientists did not have the answer, and now it is very clear. Once I have taken a natural infection is the best infection. अगर मेरे को नेचुरली इन्फेक्शन होता है, मेरे को प्रोड्यूसेस हो गया और मेरे को प्रोटेक्शन ज्यादा होती है, टेटनस हो गया तो प्रोटेक्शन ज्यादा होती है. Now if I have a COVID antibodies, normally they so far because it is not a old disease of 1 year, now we are seeing they are staying till 8 to 12 months. पहले आया कि 4 महीने रहेगी, 6 महीने हो गए, अब धीरे धीरे दिख रहा है. You need not bother about the vaccination. The side effect of the vaccinations are also emerging. If I have got antibodies and if I give the vaccination, I should not give before before
डॉक्टर गंभीर, आपकी आवाज फिर से चली गई.
are not allowed under 18 years. Even it comes.
Dr. Gambhir, your voice is cracking again.
Once
Ritu, you will have to tell him. I think Dr. Gambhir's connection is very poor today. Dr. Gambhir, can you hear me?
Are too much, and so
Ritu, can you tell him please that his voice is not clear?
Yes, ma'am, I'm calling him once again.
Sir, your internet is, I
Ajit,
think, giving a problem today. Hmm.
आई थिंक सो बरसात भी है दिल्ली में बट ये आपका गोल्डन क्वेश्चन है there are two groups of thought in Europe and America because where they are keeping it data and the government is releasing the data to the civil society and to the organization. यहाँ पे क्या अभी डाटा सरकार ने रखा हुआ है they release after a time and today you see our vaccine is not recognized and they have asked us to give a data कि कितने डॉक्टर को साइड असर हुआ है. So data keeping and transparency and giving interpretation to the civil society and to the foundation like yours and mine is important for the government where we can help it. I feel if 50% children are having positivity, there is no need of vaccination in the children, and that is true. It's being seen in even UK, even in European country, in Australia, they don't want it to be given to children because the reaction and side effect of adverse event of falling immunization could be more. So we wish that children should not be vaccinated. And number two, with a country where 26 million children are born every year, it is not possible for some large country like India to vaccinate all the children.
Yes. So private coaching institutes में तो packed up रहते हैं 2-3 कमरों में, they take on lots of students and air conditioned environment होता है. So should they be allowed to operate? What should be the, because all competitive exams के private coachings, all the students want to take that. So what is your take on that?
देखिए जब ये बसेस खुली थी, जब मेरा ड्राइवर भी आता था, मैं पूछता था, वो ऑल्टरनेट पे खाना होता था, वो खच खच करके लाते थे. तो हमारी रेगुलेटरी पार्ट तो इंडिया में पुअर है, कुछ भी बोलें. गवर्नेंस प्रॉब्लम है. मैं करप्शन के ऊपर तो नहीं जाऊंगा बट डेफिनेटली हम आंख मीच देते हैं. तो बिल्कुल ठीक कह रहे हो. हमको ये हमारी सोशल रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी है कि वी हैव टू सी दैट आवर चिल्ड्रन आर सेफ. So the coaching classes have to be 50%, so they have to be careful and they have to follow the guidelines very, very strictly. Only then they should be allowed. So there should be spot checking, there should be surprise checking, and as it has been done by the DM offices, or they can take help of any other thing. You are totally right that it is our moral, social, legal, and ethical responsibility not to run this institute if they are not following rules.
Absolutely. Also with the present mandate that जो लोग नहीं आना चाहते हैं वो घर से online classes कर सकते हैं, that will be too much of a mix of students, body की जो कुछ आ रहे हैं, कुछ online हैं, to assess them, to conduct the classes, it's going to be a challenge. How do you think that should be tackled?
Yes. So the issue, like in UK, they have saying ki let it leave on the parents, and then they could not have the consensus somewhere. Though some of the small counties did not have schools, and similarly in India, I think we'll have to face it today or tomorrow. This is though there are 40,000 cases around in India, I think this is minimum after a very long time. मतलब 25,000 से 40 हो गया. अभी भी लोअर साइड चल रहा है. कहाँ पे 4 लाख केसेस पर डे आते थे. So I think our children will get also tuned to acclimatize to सर्दी गर्मी में जैसे हम जाते थे बच्चे. So it is very difficult to have a hybrid classes. And हम बच्चों को डरपोक बनाएंगे, डरेंगे. देखो, lot of children who stayed at home, when they come and they had a antibody positivity and they had dysentery, they had pneumonia, I tell them where the child has gone, nowhere. So it will enter. So now the theory is that everyone is going to catch COVID today or tomorrow. First था कि within 6 months, 1 year, maybe within 3 years. So बच्चे को भी होगा, बच्चे को भी हुआ था, भगवान ने बचाया उसको. So you are totally right that it is very, very difficult to have hybrid classes. Teachers के लिए भी problem है. बच्चे के लिए भी प्रॉब्लम है, बट पेरेंट्स विल हैव टू बी काउंसल्ड दैट अपने बच्चे को बाहर निकालो, फिजिकल एक्टिविटी दो, विटामिन डी दो, उसको लोगों से मिक्स होने दो। अगर उसको होना होगा, लेट अस सी इज बॉडी इज टी एंड बी फंक्शंस आर टू बी स्टिमुलेटेड, एंड इज फंक्शंस आर गुड, देन विल डू दैट।
कई स्कूलों
तो
ने अपना लंच ब्रेक
हमारे को बच्चों को भेजना चाहिए।
सो कई स्कूल्स ने
बोलिए
लंच
बोलिए।
ब्रेक भी वेव ऑफ कर दिया कि अब लंच ब्रेक नहीं होगा, टाइमिंग कम कर दिया है। यू नो इट इज वेरी डिफिकल्ट कि बच्चों को आप फॉलो अप करो कि मास्क पहना है कि नहीं। अडल्ट ही नहीं पहनते हैं प्रॉपरली, नॉर्मली नोज के नीचे रहता है। सो यू नो हाउ should there be a normalcy in school, or is this all right to have lesser time, do away with the co-curricular activities, do away with sports, and ये सब बंद करके बस क्लासेस के लिए बुला लें बच्चों को?
देखिए, थोड़ा सा आपके डिस्टर्बेंस जो मैं समझा, देखिए लंच ब्रेक को, न्यूट्रिशन इज ए इंटी पार्ट ऑफ माय एजुकेशन, एंड विद द न्यूट्रिशनल पॉलिसी कमिंग, एंड आई हैव टू गिव न्यूट्रिशन टू द चाइल्ड। सो अब ये है कि भी आप घर से लंच लाएंगे, वहां हम बना के नहीं दे रहे, दैट इज अ स्मॉल इशू फॉर सम स्मॉल टाइम, बट इन लॉन्गर टाइम जो भी मिड डे स्कूल स्कीम चल रही थी, न्यूट्रिशन की चल रही थी, वो चलनी चाहिए। ये है कि स्टैगर्ड कर दिया है, लंच टाइम अलग अलग कर दिया है, अलग अलग एरिया में बच्चों को बैठाना पड़ेगा, थोड़े बच्चों का जल्दी कर दिया, थोड़े बच्चों का बाद में कर दिया है। ये हमें धीरे धीरे जब कॉन्फिडेंस लेवल आ जाएगा बच्चों का स्कूल खुलने का, तो वो हो जाएगा। राइट।
तो वैक्सीनेशन का क्या स्टेटस है फॉर चिल्ड्रन इन इंडिया नाउ दैट द जाइडस कैडिला वैक्सीन हैज बीन अप्रूव्ड? व्हेन डू यू थिंक द वैक्सीनेशन फॉर चिल्ड्रन विल स्टार्ट, एंड व्हिच ग्रुप ऑफ पीडियाट्रिक पॉपुलेशन विल गेट इट द फर्स्ट? डॉक्टर गंभीर, रितु?
देखिए जो क्या पूछा कि वैक्सीनेशन कब होगा?
Ma'am, you're on mute.
जो वैक्सीन अप्रूव हो गई है, तो व्हेन डू वी एक्सपेक्ट इट टू रोल आउट, एंड व्हिच इज द एज ग्रुप दैट दे विल स्टार्ट विद फर्स्ट, यू नो?
देखिए अभी वैक्सीन जो हमारी इंडिया में अप्रूव्ड हुई हैं, चाहे जाइडस वाली हो और हमारी बायोलॉजिकल इवांस वाली हो, जो बच्चों में हम करने जा रहे हैं, उसको मिनिमम भी इमरजेंसी यूज ऑथराइजेशन में किया जा रहा है। अब मेरे हिसाब से इमरजेंसी नहीं है, अब उसके लिए मिनिमम 6 to 8 मिनिमम जो ट्रायल और हमने सैंपलिंग लेनी है वो लगेंगे। सो दे से कि मे बी दिसंबर, बट दे वर सेइंग नवंबर दिसंबर, मेरे को लगता है जनवरी के आसपास, लेट्स सी कि अर्ली जनवरी में शुरू हो जाएंगे, तब तक और पोजीशन हमारी क्लियर हो जाएगी। आई स्टिल फील like other countries, large data set and involving children into vaccinations, because lot of new things are coming. Vaccine resistant viruses, not to give vaccines with the mutations, giving a booster and giving now 6 month booster and giving a yearly booster. Now latest ये चल रहा है, ये now ये fear आ रहा है, जिसने वैक्सीन लिया उसको हर बार लेनी पड़ेगी। India cannot do that. So I think we should not have a knee-jerk response. We should not follow the Western countries. As we have seen, injectable polio was started. We did not have dose, and we kept on doing with the oral polio, though there was a lot of international pressure to remove oral polio is nothing, and we were successful. Let us have the confidence in the system. But what has happened is there is an international competition. Maybe government is also trying to be that we are international leaders. That doesn't matter. So yesterday WHO has given requested the rich country to give vaccine to the poor countries. So I still feel with the more than 50% of the child having the antibodies, it is a useless exercise to give vaccine to the children. Though it is available, I can protect myself, but I cannot protect the spread. Even I get the vaccine, I'll be protected. I agree. My children is a special child with a high risk, with a thalassemic, with a cancer, I should give it, but I should not give to all the children. And there will be divide, what we call digital divide. There will be vaccine divide, which is already there in the world, and we are creating a two thing: vaccine positive children or vaccine negative children. So I'm seeing some type of social divide. The government is boosting, they are giving, but they are not keeping the data. They are not doing the surveillance which they ought to do.
So even the KK used to say that thymus protects the children. To what age does the thymus protect the child, and against these viral infections and pandemics?
So we are going to a basic physiology and biochemistry. And today I took the meeting for the Punjab guys again. That it is the viremia, as used to say, it is the viremia, and viremia cause epithelial, the pneumonia will occur, endothelial, the blood vessel will involve. If we understand that, I had to steroid early. I had to use steroid early. Similarly, what thymus does to the child and how long does it do it is a golden question about the T cell, my B cell. So T cell memory remains permanent, and definitely once the it invades, I'll get it. Uh, we say ki 5 years is the best age, around 7 years, and after that, as I have got most of the subclinical infections, my memory cells are made, and it gets stored in my T cells, which I get from the thymus and bone marrow and the different places. So it is a question now we are also considering, that does Indian vaccination, because we are still doing for DPT, tetanus, BCG, is this helping us? And we got subclinical coronavirus already there in most of the Indian. We already
Mhm.
had a coronavirus in the form of URI and other thing, and that is why we have been protected through SARS and the different type of these infectious diseases. So subclinical infections are good. Now there was a demand that DPT pertussis, you give another pertussis vaccine to a child around 10 years. Because in India we already have some subclinical infection, we don't get pertussis, adult pertussis, though it is common in European country, but it is not common in Indian country. So Indian country should have his own data, Indian adaptation, own follow-up, own surveillance lab, which we are not having. And that is why we failed. We did not develop PhD in immunology, but we developed a person of MD pediatrics. So MD pediatrics was also important, but PhD in immunology was also bad. So that is why the basic research is lacking in India, and we are left with having to follow the Western countries or from the data from Japan or China. So this is the best time for us. And we did only one test per thousand. We should have been 10 tests per thousand. And we should have done the genotyping surveillance, which was to be done 5%. Now it is 2%. We did not do it because we never had a lab. We had only one lab. So once I start immunization, I have to have a surveillance lab, which I have been telling you. And pneumococcal, we did not develop the surveillance lab. Whether there was a conversion, there was a protective antibody, there was a neutralizing antibodies. We do not have this type of data, and this data is required in the children, that how long till what time the thymus do work. There are a lot of evidence कि हमारे 10 साल तक तो काम करता है, लेकिन छोटे बच्चों में ज्यादा प्रोटेक्ट होता है. कई बार thymus, the shadow will come, X-ray will have a large thymus, we don't have to do anything to do that. So I'll say I don't have the final answer as far as the COVID is concerned, and COVID in children, we are seeing it now. It is very very common, and India should bring us the data. The world can depend on the India data. That is the issue, and that we have been lacking.
So the question is again, when do you expect the third wave of COVID-19 in the country, and do you think it will affect the children more? Dr. Gambhir, you're again frozen. Ritu?
Yes, ma'am, I'm calling, sir.
अभी check करना थी मैंने तो. So till now, what we have discussed is that the children, I personally feel the children should go back to school with proper precautions. आप लोग कब तक बैठाएंगे घर में बच्चों को their mental, their physical health is taking a real beating. अगर हमने उनको और ज़्यादा दिन रखा तो what we will face is worse than what COVID can do to children. तो मेरे हिसाब से बच्चों को ज़रूर स्कूल भेजना चाहिए विद अप्रोप्रिएट सेफ्टी मेजर्स. The children are now used to following these safety measures. So I think if we as if parents take that upon themselves to make sure that the school is also following the safety measures, and instill in the child the importance of hand washing, masking if possible, and social distancing, I think the children will be much safer going to school as far as their overall development and their physical and mental health is concerned. Dr. Gambhir, are you there now? Ritu, is he? He's still not.
Yeah, I'm there. I'm
Yeah,
there.
yeah. So, yeah, the
You
question
asked
about
about
the
the
third.
third wave.
Yeah.
The issue is we don't go to the lot of that why you have made these people as a advisor or experts. There is no expert in COVID. So it's an infectious disease. So what I need is an infectious disease specialist to treat the patient. But I need epidemiologist and public health specialist to interpret it. Now it is a public health issue, and first time we have a disaster. First time we had a vaccine for adult vaccine. So when I not see first wave, I could not smell second wave. How can I see the third wave? So the issue is everyone is saying it will come in July. It did not come in July. It came in August. It did not. It is just September. So they have only doing their own probability as to get funds as to prepare. We are prepared. I can say that we are prepared, and we
Dr. Gambhir, your voice is still cracking. So let me take some questions. Smitha Varghese says that it's utter nonsense to send kids to school. Smitha ji, I'm sure you feel very strongly about that, and that's your personal opinion. But believe me, I think the physical and the mental effects that the lockdown and staying at home is having on the children is much, much more serious than what a COVID can, do in terms of harm. Baljit ji saying no need to send kids below class 8. I think class 8, as we just discussed, below class 8 are safer because of the thymus. So they are more protected. And I think if we follow the social distancing and the hand washing norms, which the schools have to follow, and as parents, all of you must make sure that they follow. I think it is time for the children to go back to school. Good evening, Dr. Veena ji. Ramesh Pal ji कह रहे हैं, I am also having the problem with my patient who are asking daily whether we should send us. So I've just answered that. नेहा जी
so
पूछ रही
मैं
है
ये कह रहा हूँ कि थर्ड वेव ना
हाँ जी बोलिए डॉक्टर
किसी
अजय.
ने फर्स्ट वेव नहीं देखी. मैंने कहा किसी ने फर्स्ट वेव नहीं देखी, किसी को समझ नहीं आई, ना सेकंड वेव समझ आई, तो थर्ड वेव कहाँ से समझ आ रही है जब मैं वेव को पहचानता ही नहीं हूँ. मेरे को प्रोबेबिलिटी ये थी कि दशहरा दिवाली पे भीड़ हो जाती है, फेस्टिवल सीजन आता है, जैसे वहां पे ओणम आई थी या ईद आई थी, जो भी हुआ है, तो उस समय होगा. तो इन्होंने वो प्रोबेबिलिटी करी है, लेकिन अभी तक साइंटिस्ट की करी. थर्ड वेव डेफिनेटली आएगी, लेकिन वो माइल्ड होगी, इतनी खराब नहीं होगी. हम वेल प्रिपेयर्ड है. मैं ये कह रहा था, हमने ऑक्सीजन का लास्ट ईयर वार्निंग दी थी, बिकॉज आई एम वर्किंग इन यूएसएड पाथ ऑक्सीजन and I've been working in the newborn on the oxygen project, but they did not agree to us, and then they suddenly asked कि PSA plant लगा लो. In January we visited PSA plant manufacturer in Bahadurgarh and oxygen liquid oxygen plant in the Modi Nagar. So we know that things are coming, but the bureaucrats and the politician had a blind eye. So people who are asking for maybe Padam Bhushan and Padam Shri, they should see what they have done to India. So you have to have a team. So third wave कब आएगी? अब बड़े बड़े डाटा हो रहे हैं, बड़े बड़े हार्वर्ड के मॉडलिंग हो रही हैं, सब फेल हो रहे हैं सब जगह. अमेरिका में भी तीसरी क्या चौथी वेव आ रही है. We have not understood the virus. We only went on the treatment part of it and did not give time to the scientists to understand the virus.
So, Dr. Gambhir, कुछ questions ले रही हूँ मैं because we have overshot our time. नेहा जी बोल रही है कि आप बच्चे को स्कूल नहीं
should be
भेजना।
mentally prepared.
हाँ जी, मैं एक दो क्वेश्चन ले रही हूँ डॉक्टर गंभीर, वी आर वे पास्ट आवर टाइम। नेहा जी पूछ रही है कि आप बच्चे को स्कूल नहीं भेजना चाहिए, मैं तो अपनी बेटी को भेज रही हूँ, शी इज इन 11th स्टैंडर्ड। नेहा जी, वी जस्ट आंसर्ड दैट क्वेश्चन। आई थिंक विद प्रॉपर प्रिकॉशंस we the child must go to school, especially in a class like 11th.
भेजना भेजना बिल्कुल भेजना चाहिए, बिल्कुल जाना चाहिए, और कोई घबराना नहीं चाहिए, क्योंकि हमारे को बच्चे की मेंटल फिजिकल एजुकेशन डेवलपमेंट के लिए ये ऐसे थ्रेट में हमें झेलना है। बच्चे जो एडोलेसेंट बच्चे हैं, खासकर जो टीनेज बच्चे हैं, उनको घर में नहीं रखना चाहिए। हमको उनको आगे की तैयारी के लिए यूज करना चाहिए।
नंदियाल शारदा कह रही हैं कि रिस्पेक्टेड डॉक्टर के सेड चिल्ड्रन डोंट गेट सीरियस, द थाइमस सेव्स देम, वी जस्ट डिस्कस्ड अबाउट दैट। देन वी हैव Neha ji again saying no online classes, so that's good. Nursing course, ma'am, put some light on zero survey of children done. Most come with positive antibodies without any clinical symptoms of COVID.
So that is a protection that God has given us. You know, our B cells get activated. That means that they had exposure to COVID, and the COVID could not harm them. So our immune system was good. So look at the positivity. It may have the side sir, and we'll see that had you given the vaccination to your child, there could be antibodies enhancement, and that would have been disastrous. So something we believe on God and we believe on data. And as KK used to go through, because we have to understand our anatomy, physiology, biochemistry, and then go to pathology. Yes. And pathology, once we have a strong physiology, and then we can understand strong pathology. So that is as a pathophysiological changes, and we always quote it is epithelial inflammation and endothelial inflammation, which will give rise to the CRP, and then the blood vessels will get involved. So there are steps. Suddenly nothing is going to happen. No heart attack is going to happen. Remember that.
Yeah. Sandesh Patvardhan ji saying, what about practicals of 12th standard class?
बिल्कुल प्रैक्टिकल देने चाहिए, और हमें इस समय देखो कोविड मिनिमम है, और हमें प्रिकॉशन लेने की आदत पड़ गई है बच्चों को। हमें प्रिकॉशन लेनी पड़ेगी। एक बार कोविड होने के बाद तो मेरी बॉडी की इनर स्ट्रेंथ, मेरे बी और टी सेल फंक्शन ही मेरे को कंट्रोल करेंगे। ट्रीटमेंट तो कोविड का कोई स्पेसिफिक, इसलिए बचाव इलाज है, तो बचाव में ही इलाज है, और यही हमको आगे रखे। वायरस आएंगे, मेरे को लग रहा है कि अभी नए नए और भी इस टाइप की डिजीज आएंगी, जिसके लिए हमको मेंटली वेल प्रिपेयर्ड रहना है। आपने प्रैक्टिकल के लिए भी जाना है।
सर आपकी आवाज बहुत ही क्रैक हो रही है आज, योर कनेक्शन इज। So Meena Shekhar is asking, my elder son is at school, is a student at IIT. His college is not opening till date. करियर का सवाल है, फिर भी नहीं खुल रहा है, तो हम why should we bother about kids of 5th grade? डॉक्टर अजय, आप आंसर करेंगे इस क्वेश्चन को? I think his internet connection is still bad. So Meena ji, what I think is that
सुना गया कि उनका बच्चा IIT में है। भाई IIT में है तो बड़ा बच्चा है, बच्चा नहीं है वो।
हाँ जी,
वो एडोलेसेंट हो गया, वो यूथ हो गया है। बच्चा हमने बना के भेजा है, तो हमने उनको डायरेक्शन देनी है, हमने उनकी मेंटरशिप करनी है। तो अगर हम ठीक डायरेक्शन और वो करेंगे, तो वो भी हमारे उसी डायरेक्शन में चलेगा। तो बिल्कुल उनको काम करने दीजिए और अपनी क्लासेस में जाने दीजिए।
And also I think कि IITs and all, I think hostel में रहना ज़रूरी होता है, whereas small children can stay at home and go to school for a little time and come back. They are in their productive, in their growing up formative years. तो बहुत ज़रूरी है बच्चों के लिए जाना, interact करना और सीखना। अभी से अगर आप छोटे छोटे बच्चों को, पहले ही we've been forced over the past year to be online, it's not good for the development of the child. So I think it is very important. So I think, Dr. Ajay, we've had a very useful discussion. Thank you for joining us. As a token of appreciation, we would like to give you a certificate. Ritu, please show us the certificate. Yeah. So there is no dearth or effort to open plan for opening almost all other indoor public spaces like pubs, restaurants, gyms, cinemas, halls, and malls, etc. But when it comes to school opening, we are unreasonably cautious to protect children, even arguing that school should reopen once everyone is vaccinated. How do we decide this, everyone? Does it mean all adults in Delhi or India, or is it all school going children and adults within Delhi NCR? By continuous closure of schools from primary and middle school students, we are depriving our children of their right to holistic education and adding to their mental distress and sense of deprivation. According to experts, the increasingly visible tendencies of depression among the young is a matter of concern. Education is not simply about exams and marks, neither is it simply about learning from books. Students learn social skills, leadership, and team building, inculcate lifelong friendships, handle problems in crisis, understand
No, no.
diversity, learn from their role models, peers, and beloved teachers who also take care of their mental and emotional needs. Realistically, COVID 19 will not disappear in the immediate future. There will only be peaks and troughs in the rate of infection. So, on a positive note, let's send the children to school. We will end this program today. We will be back tomorrow at 7 p.m. with another edition of the show. Keep watching Dr. KK's Med Talks. Namaskar.
Thank you. I enjoyed it and nice talking. And I